Before 2014, there haven't been any horror games that had the same impact as FNAF. Sure, we had the Slendermans and the Amnesias, but none of them reached the same height. I've been obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's since it launched. It just does something to my brain and I can't exactly figure out what. So I analyzed every single pixel and line of code to find out. From Scott Cawthon's history and the animatronics design to the symbolism of the soda next to the office. I learned everything there is, but I'm getting carried over here. Let's start at the beginning. Welcome to the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 documentary. Scott Cawthon. Many people know him as the creator of the ultra-successful game franchise Five Nights at Freddy's. But not many people know that he has been making video games since 1994. That is 20 years before FNAF. 20 years of hard work every day with little to no success. Even though this time seemed like it was wasted, like everything Cawthon did was in vain. Destiny had other plans. Chipper & Sons Lumber Company was one of Scott's latest non-FNAF games, which was heavily criticized for being too creepy and uncanny, which made Scott think, I'm good at creating robots and people say my characters are uncanny, for better or for worse. Let's lean into that. The last game before FNAF was Sit and Survive, a point-and-click resource management game. Sounds familiar? Actually, FNAF was supposed to be his last game ever released. Scott even made a Kickstarter for the game to try and raise funds, but it flopped. It was a bad start for the game, but in 2014, well, you know what happened.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome
to Five Nights at Freddy! No, this isn't gonna be a good time.
It's a game that I feel like I don't even have to explain anymore because every single person on the planet is playing this game right now.
Everyone. My mom called me to play it. She's like, why haven't you played this game yet? I'm serious. I wish I was joking.
August 8 was the date the game released exclusively on the Sura and 10 days later on Steam. But it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. What actually blew the game up were the Let's Players, and especially a familiar face you might recognize.
What's that?
The week Markiplier released the video, everybody in my school started talking about FNAF.
Perfect! No!
I have to confess, I didn't play the games myself until years after release. Part of that was because it costed money, and the other was because I was super scared to play it. I remember watching my classmates play it on their phone, and even so, I was scared but acted nonchalantly for the aura boost. I still have this memory of playing the demo version, which was only the first night, and showing my mom how scary the jump scares were. But she told me that it wasn't that scary, and I quote, "The bear is cute," which is something I can't comprehend. But enough yapping. What about the game itself makes it art? For that, we need to enter the game. The game opens up with a warning. I mean, obviously, right? It's a scary game. But for the core Scott Cawthon audience, this was something entirely new. I mean, he went from this to this. The game menu is iconic. The music used alongside Freddy's portrait is haunting. Just by looking at the animatronic, we can see that something is not right. He is twitching and twisting, being half lit and half in the shadow, maybe foreshadowing the secret lore we have yet to uncover. The static TV texture used matches the vibe perfectly and will go to become an iconic element in the series. The opening cutscene gives us the minimum amount of information to understand what we're supposed to do. We work at a pizzeria as a security guard. Our shift lasts from 12 AM to 6 AM. We're supposed to monitor the cameras and ensure the safety of equipment, whatever that means. By far, the scariest line is, I quote, "not responsible for injury/dismemberment," because that is crazy for only $120 a week. Oh, and fun Easter egg, the blurry text actually doesn't say anything important, but you can read the word blah 18 times. The game throws you right into the action. The first thing you notice, aside from the constant buzzing, is that you are in an office. There is a big poster on the wall next to some children's drawings, which gives you the message that this is a pizzeria created with the main children audience in mind. But like you know, with kids media, things can always take a dark turn really quickly. Just look at clowns, for example, or the Teletubbies. The desk is crowded with objects, most notably the papers and a plastic soda glass, which serves as a safety nest, as something that tells you people have been through this experience before. The turned off monitors, the hanging wires and the spider webs challenge that idea in contrast. The fan and the light bulb using electricity act as a reminder that you're okay and everything is going to plan. However, in the bottom left, you can notice one of the game's core elements, the power. Only one line is used when idle, presumably from the two things I mentioned, but any other action outside turning left and right consumes power. Let's talk about the other mechanics. This is basically split into three categories: action, visual, and audio. Let's talk first about the action. How do you actually control the game? You only have 4 buttons and the cameras. The 2 gray buttons shine a light on the corridor, which helps you find out if an animatronic is at the door. These are technically optional. I'm sure you could beat the game without ever using them, but it would make your life hell. If an animatronic is at the door, you can press the big red button to shut it. This is the most important action that keeps you safe throughout the night, but you always need to keep the power in mind, because if it goes down to 0, well... Each night lasts 8 minutes and 55 seconds, the longest out of any FNAF game, I'm pretty sure, which makes the power management pretty challenging. The last action you can make is open and close the cameras. This mechanic goes hand in hand with the second gameplay category I mentioned, the visual. This mechanic helps you locate any character on the map, but it's important to mention that monitoring Bonnie or Chica is totally unnecessary for an optimized strategy. In this game, the camera is mainly used to directly interact with Freddy and Foxy, but I will talk about the characters, behaviors, and strategies later because there's a lot more to it. Let's discuss each camera in particular. I created 2 categories for this, the not so important and the very important. The first one includes these. Why I think they are not so important is because after the first night you never need or want to check them. Yes, they are creepy, but again, it's not important. The second category includes show stage, by far the most well-known camera. The first time you play the game and see one robot go missing is so cool. Pirate Cove. This is where Foxy stays all the time, and it's important because you need to check on him periodically to know when to shut the door. If you haven't done it in a while and look at the West Hall camera, you might be in for a surprise when he comes running at you. The East Hall corner is crucial for the later nights. This is where Freddy's last stop is. If you have the right door open and change the camera, oh well. Backstage. Now this isn't important for the gameplay, but is definitely the scariest out of them all, and important to the lore. Just seeing the broken animatronics and sometimes all of them looking at you is an image you won't easily get out of your head. The kitchen is another interesting camera because you can't see anything. only here. When Chica or Freddy is there, you might hear their respective audio, which is important to mention that you can also hear it from the office, but much quieter. Speaking of audio, we can't talk about audio without mentioning Scruffy's legendary video. Highly recommend. However, here is what I think. There are 5 different audio categories that you will hear throughout the game. 1. Ambience. Obviously, one of the most important, this creates the scary atmosphere and gives life to the game. Take a listen. Two. Critical gameplay audio. This refers to Freddy's laugh when he moves, footsteps, kitchen noises, the sound that plays when somebody is at the door, the door slamming shut ensuring you are safe now, and the sound that signifies your run is over. 3. Non-critical gameplay audio, also known as red herrings. These are sounds that try to give you wrong clues about what's happening and to mess with your focus. The most important are the carousel music, Foxy's singing, and random glitches. 4. Jump scares. This needs no introduction, basically refers to the scream that happens when you lose the game. In this game, jump scares are very effective. If you don't focus hard enough, a jump scare is inevitable, but if you focus too hard, you risk being surprised by one. 5. The most important sound. Now that we know everything about the environment, let's analyze the enemies. We have Freddy the Bear, Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, and Foxy the Fox. They were made to remind you of the 80s uncanny mascots like Chuck E. Cheese. On the inside they are endoskeletons, but each wears its different costume. The attack pattern is pretty straightforward. Bonnie and Chica will advance through the rooms until they reach your left and right door. Foxy will only stay in the Pirate Cove area and slowly move out of frame if you don't use the cameras. If the door is closed, he will steal a bit of power by knocking on the door. By the way, it's important to notice here that it doesn't matter which camera you're on, if you pull up the monitor, it counts for Foxy. Freddy will advance through the rooms if you don't check on him on the cameras. If he reaches your bottom right camera, he will never leave. Let's now talk about the character's AI and how they decide to actually move by diving into the game's code. It's not that scary, trust me. For that, let's understand the movement opportunity system. On one hand, you have the intervals. Every character has a set amount of time after which they can make an action. That is called an interval. For Freddy, it's 3.02 seconds, and for Bonnie, it's 4.97 seconds, for example. On the other hand, we have the random values. These are numbers between 1 and 20. If the number generated is lower than the character difficulty value, the animatronic moves. For example, if Freddy has the difficulty set to 9 and the number generated is 12, he doesn't move. But if the number is 5, then he advances. Another important aspect is the fact that the difficulty increases as the night goes on. That means at 2, 3, and 4 AM respectively, each animatronic gets +1 added to the difficulty. The difficulty increases also by progressing in the game, meaning night 2 is harder than 1, and 3 is harder than 2, and so on. This game has a very interesting way of presenting the story. You have the surface level stuff like the beginning newspaper I talked about, or Phone Guy's monologue, which gives you a rough idea of the game's story. I've made a quick montage of the most important lines he says. Take a listen.
Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you. I actually worked in that office before you. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced. The characters do tend to wander a bit. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know? They'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit.
So after hearing this, you kinda have a good idea of what's going on. In Night 2, he doesn't give you any more clues about the game's story, just the gameplay mechanics I talked about earlier. Same goes with Night 3, he doesn't say anything important, but Night 4 is different.
I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
We learn now that the previous security guard died, but by far the most interesting is Night 5. Here we can hear muffled audio, presumably from an animatronic, but actually it can be decoded, and this is the text. I won't lie, I don't think this is important to the lore, but it's nice to see this thing mentioned. This is all story-related content you get at face value, but if you want to uncover the full lore, you have to pay attention to the secrets that have a random chance of spawning. Analyzing the secret newspaper articles, we find out 1. A man dressed in a costume lured 2 kids to the back room, never to be found. 2. The man used the same technique to lure 3 other children. 3. Some parents complained about animatronics leaking blood and mucus. 4. The pizzeria is closing due to the scandals. A terrifying quote is, "The mascots will live on." If you paid attention, you probably understood what happened. Another unsolved mystery is Golden Freddy, who has a very low chance of spawning in your office after seeing the secret poster. 1 in 32,768 to be exact. What role does he play in the story? At this point in time, we don't know yet. But if you remember, 5 children missing, 5 animatronics, you know. Also, the "It's Me" sign can sometimes appear in random locations alongside intentional visual glitches. What is the hidden meaning behind these secrets? We would find out in later games. There were a lot of fan theories, some plausible, some not. But you know, if it wasn't for those scary theories in the community, the game wouldn't have had anywhere near the impact that it did. If you're interested in that, I recommend GoMotion's video and Sagan Hawkes' video. Oh, and by the way, there are links for everything I mentioned in the description. There is just one more detail we need to talk about. The soda outside the office. This is an office, so it wasn't left there by a customer. No way. Some staff member had to be the culprit. And also, what color is it? Purple. That's right. You know who else is purple? Mr. Hippo from FNAF 6. What does he do? Talk a lot. Who else talks a lot? That's right. Phone Guy. So there it is, undeniable proof that Phone Guy is Mr. Hippo from FNAF 6. Take that, MatPat. Okay, now we know everything about the game. What's the strategy to win? For this segment, I went on a mission to start from Night 1 and to finish with the infamous 420 mode. I will do a voiceover here discussing strategies and other stuff while I try to do this challenge. To beat the first 3 nights, you don't really need any strategies. I only got jump scared once. What I found out after playing for a while was the game stops being a horror game and becomes more of a concentration game, like a platformer with very precise actions. So let's change the music. For the 4th and 5th night, you need to know the advanced strategy, which is basically keep the camera on Freddy at all times and periodically check on Foxy. The gameplay loop I came up with here was left light, camera, right light, camera, repeat. After you win, you get your paycheck of 120 bucks. But more importantly, you learn your name is Mike Schmidt. This will be important in later games for the lore. Back at the game menu, you will get a star and the option to play the 6th night. For this, you can pretty much use the same strategy, but also sometimes you have to improvise because Foxy will advance much quicker and Freddy too. After you beat it, you get a fabulous 50 cents and the title of Employee of the Month. Oh, and also now you can play a custom night. Setting the difficulty to 1987 will trigger a... So now, it's time for the hardest challenge in the game. 420. We will be using the most optimized strategy. Put the camera here and never change it, even for Foxy. We will do the same loop faster. Light left, camera, light right, camera. You may ask, why aren't we checking on Foxy? Won't we lose? The answer is simple, no. You see, when you check the camera as fast as we're doing here, Foxy loses every chance to move forward. Remember how we talked about intervals and values? The fact that we check the camera so fast makes Foxy restart his timer every time, causing him to stay in the same place or move just once or twice. And that's it. You've done it. The game rewards you for your hard work with termination notice. But more importantly, 3rd star. Hell yeah! Now I can be insufferable to my friends. When the YouTuber Solar Sands analyzed Scott's older games, he said something along the lines of, Scott Cawthon isn't a genius, but when creating FNAF, he managed to make every single detail in his game perfect. And after all the research, I couldn't agree more. Oh, and also, if you wonder why FNAF looks so good and realistic, even though it was made by just one person, and why other fan games couldn't replicate the feeling and look, it's because of the lighting. Think about that. Remember how at the beginning of the video I told you that story about how I thought the animatronics were super scary but my mom disagreed and thought they were cute? Well, after I pondered for a while, I believe I understand it now. So Chuck Entertainment Cheese and the gang was made by the older generation for the children. They made the design after what they believed was cute, but something made the newer generation think these were uncanny. Maybe the design taste evolved or something in our DNA changed somehow, but I just thought it was very weird how every person over the age of 50 thought these things were actually cute and every young person held the exact opposite opinion. In retrospection, Five Nights at Freddy's wasn't just a game, but more of an experience. YouTuber The Retro Dude said it best.
I find myself reminiscing about these games all the time, especially the first 4, and I often wish I could experience these games again. And I don't mean booting them up on Steam and playing them again, because I can do that at any time. No, I mean I miss when everybody was experiencing these games for the first time, together. When it didn't feel like you needed to watch plot breakdowns to catch up on what was going on.
Okay, hear me out. The game is a masterpiece. But if it wasn't for the YouTubers, the theories, the fanbase, the developer, the mysteries, the visuals, the glitches, the fanbase, the songs, the game being released at the right time in the right environment, the luck involved, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the series probably wouldn't be that successful. What I'm trying to say is this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I mean, I hope I get to experience something in the same way I got to experience FNAF. There was a spark there, something truly special. Being able to connect with other kids that were interested in the franchise was awesome. Even after analyzing every single detail in this game, I still haven't found what made it so special. I think we need to continue with our journey. Anyway, if you're still watching, I just want to say thank you. Please make sure if you like the video, drop a like, comment. Oh no. I think I have to go. I'm sorry. I'll see you guys later, okay? Right now I have to go. Bye.